Welcome to our main course segment where we discuss life and love. How does abandonment issues work? Abandonment issues. What brought this conversation up? I was in a conversation with a friend of mine, and she's probably listening. I was in a conversation, and then I was talking about how, like, a lot of times the change in a relationship can bring about abandonment issues. Just a simple change, a tweak here and there, and just doing something different than the usual can bring about an abandonment issue. It triggers a fear, you know. Now, I think, when you talk about something subtle like that, it's easy to say, well, damn, then I guess we all got abandonment issues to some degree. I don't think we all have abandonment issues. I just think we all have some sort of insecurity. You know what I'm saying? To some degree. It's natural to be insecure about something. You know what I mean? But I think abandonment issues go a lot deeper. They're a lot deeper and a lot more exaggerated. They're like exaggerated insecurities. You know what I mean? Or excessive, so to speak, and there's something to that. There's something that speaks to that, So I want to separate this conversation from insecurities. We all are insecure about something. It's natural to be insecure about something. It's just how you handle it, how you deal with it. And that's what I want to address in this conversation. You know what I mean? If you say you have insecurities, you don't have abandonment issues and you have insecurities, okay, well, how do you deal with those insecurities? And then that will be the judge of whether or not you have abandonment issues. But let's go in. I wouldn't say I did a lot of research, but I did some research for this topic. I pulled from a lot of psychology sources and a lot of doctorate level writers. And I didn't necessarily dig into the DSM-5. For those of you people who are non-enlightened in the study of psychology, the DSM-5 is a science journal named the Dictionary of I forget what the DSM-5 stands for, but it's the 5th edition of a science journal that labels a lot of mental illnesses. You know what I mean? So I did not dig into the DSM-5 for this, but I just casually pulled from some resources over the web to see what was what. And here we go. So now this is me speaking here. Humans are mammals. We are herd creatures. We're social creatures. We need to be next to somebody. We need to be amongst one another and feel and touch one another. It is a psychological need to be tribal as humans, to be pack-like and to feel like we belong. Because it's tough to hunt alone. When you go hunting, when you hunt alone, you don't have the security as the kind of security as you do when you roll in a pack. It's tougher to hunt alone. So exile from a tribe can almost feel like it can trigger like it can almost feel like you're being killed, because now that survival aspect is being threatened. Your survival is being threatened now that you're exiled from the pack. So that's why us humans, we innately group think a lot, and we think pack like a lot. So abandonment ultimately triggers a fear of survival, and poverty can be the biggest trigger of abandonment issues. I think nothing. I think poverty is not natural. Like, you got to think before economies existed and nations were built. When human beings just lived wildly off the land, right? I don't think there was any concept of poverty. There are like jungle peoples in South America, jungle Indians in South America, who have no concept of currency. You know, they have no concept of certain economic institutions that we've become that us modern first world people have become accustomed to. And if you would look at their life and think that they were, you know, struggling, and they would laugh at you. Because they live off the land. They have their livestock, they have their crops, and they're good. You know what I mean? They can survive out in the jungles. You know, they're familiar with their land. They're familiar with the land. You know, to me, it does not. You know, when you consider those things, it does not seem like poverty is a natural part of life. It seems as though like poverty is kind of like an encumbrance to nature. You know, the fact that you have to have lack and scarcity and fear of lack and scarcity and fear of and the threat of your survival on a constant daily by the second basis. You know, that's not natural. That's not the way us humans were designed to live. You know, birds don't have to think about, birds don't wake up the next day thinking whether they're gonna fly or not. They simply fly. They just get up and go, you know? So why in this beautiful, technologically advanced modern world, we have to think about where our next meal is gonna come from? Why should we have to think? I'm going too deep. But poverty is the biggest trigger of insecurities and abandonment issues. Because of the scarcity factor. You know, when you talk about domestic abuse, and you know, here I go with 911 again. When you think of most of the phone calls, the domestic abuse phone calls that occur, where are they mostly occurring? In low-income areas, the trailer parks and the projects, right? You know what I'm saying? What is it about these relationships that that these men are beating on these women, and these women are stabbing and shooting these men, and all this drama and extraness is going on? What is it like? Y'all got together to be gladiators or to be in love? like come on, like what are y'all doing? What is this, right? So poverty, I think, so yeah, I want to take this second to really hearken on poverty and its effect on abandonment issues and insecurity. Let's talk about the development, how abandonment issues develop in parenting and child rearing. I want to get into that, because what a lot of people underestimate is that the science of dating is the science of family, because every family begins with a date. I'm probably blowing some of y'all minds when you think about it, but if you read my book, Lead the Fairy Tales, you would know. But every family begins with a date, you know? So what develops abandonment issues? Lack of appropriate supervision, inadequate provision of nutrition and meals. Now you would think, how does food trigger abandonment? Well, think about it. If you're hungry and you don't know where your next meal is coming from, what's that going to do to you? When you finally get a meal, you're going to sop it up, right? You know what I'm saying? You're going to hold on to it, and you know you're going to cleave to it, right? And then, you know what I'm saying, that fear of not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, you know what I'm saying, that kind of fear is going to translate into other aspects of your life. How you do something is how you do everything. Inadequate clothing, housing, or heat or shelter. Basic psychological needs, basic physiological needs. Just basic needs can trigger abandonment. Physical or sexual abuse, I think that's a given. Emotional abandonment occurs when parents do not let their children express themselves emotionally. I come from the last generation of, children should be seen and not heard, where parents didn't really know how to talk to their children because they were never encouraged to do so. It never seemed as something necessary or something like, it just wasn't thought about like, oh, maybe I should see how my child is doing. Let me sit down and have a conversation with my baby. It was in my generation, it was almost absurd to even think that an adult could talk to a child, to have a conversation with a child. I'm an adult. You know what I'm saying? I'm an adult. We don't talk to no kids. You know what I mean? Like that's how stupid we were. You know what I'm saying? Not my generation, but my parents. My parents bringing up my generation. I always say, my generation was the last generation that grew up with and without technology. And we were the last generation that kind of grew up on the back end of the crack era. You know what I'm saying? In the crack era caused that schism in generations. Whereas, that baby boomer generation and then the Generation X's, the millennials, you know what I mean? That schism, the crack era caused that schism because the crack era kind of dissolved the family household. It was that powerful. It dissolved the family. And so a lot of the structures and morals that the baby boomers held on to, my generation didn't really have a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Teenage moms and single parent household became the norm. But I digress. No, I don't digress really, because that kind of upbringing triggers a lot of abandonment issues. Let's go deep. So abandonment, emotional abandonment occurs when parents do not let their children express themselves emotionally. So the children feels like they're not understood, they're not being heard, they're not being respected, ultimately. You know what I'm saying? And they're not being valued. So they feel like they don't belong. Ridiculing the children, putting too much pressure on the children to be perfect, treating the children like their peers. Treat their children like their peers. Okay, I don't get that one, but okay, I'll take it. Triggers of abandonment: the children cannot live up to the expectations of their parents. These expectations are often unrealistic and not age appropriate. So this goes to those soccer moms and those stage moms, that are trying to live vicariously through their children. Like, that shit ain't right. Children are held responsible for others' behavior. They may be consistently blamed for the actions and feelings of their parents. Yeah. I don't think children should ever be blamed for anything, even if they're bad. I know that sounds crazy, especially coming from me. But children are sponges, they only give what they've been given. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a child that's bad, it ought to force you to look inside yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So children being held responsible for other people's behavior. That's terrible. And those manipulative, narcissistic parents are the ones who do that the most. Oh, look what you made me do. Anyone who says that, you already know they're a piece of shit. When someone says you made me do something, that person is a piece of shit. They may know it or not, but they're a piece of shit. Just know that they're a piece of shit and stay away from them. You know what I'm saying? Because anyone who knows anything knows that no one can make you do anything. You have the power to control yourself. So when you say that, you're either stupid or you're just using that as an excuse to do what you want to do. You're relieving yourself of any guilt. Disapproval. Abandonment triggers. Disapproval toward children is aimed at their entire beings or an identity rather than a particular behavior. So when a child is being bad, you get on the child for just you try to attack the child's identity. Oh, look at you, stupid. You so stupid. You so this, you so that. you're so terrible, rather than saying, why that particular behavior was terrible. That particular behavior was not intelligent. Stupid is like, that's a word you should never. Stupid. I'd rather curse around kids than you say the word stupid to a kid. You know what I mean? Like that's very, very no. Very, very no. Yeah. Such as telling a child he is worthless when he does not do his homework, or she is never going to be a good athlete because she missed the final catch of the game. Like, yeah, it's like, okay, you had a bad game, you had a bad day, or you had a bad whatever, but that doesn't mean you're bad. You're still dope. You're still, a child of God. Like, that don't mean you're worthless. Like, come on. So yeah, and see, a lot of this is things that parents and adults don't really realize that they're doing, because it's so ingrained in their language. It's so habitual and subconscious and sublime in their language that they don't even realize they're doing it half the time, unless they're really truly educated on it. And that's not an easy thing to come by. This kind of education and awareness does not come willy-nilly for a lot of people. The signs of abandonment. Now, mind you, I'm pulling this from different sources. Common signs of abandonment issues include giving too much or being overly eager to please, because from that childhood, wanting to impress or please their parents, but who put unrealistic expectations of perfection upon them. So now they're trying to make up for it and compensate. This makes perfect sense. Jealousy in your relationship of others. Oh, I'm not good enough. You love them more than you love me. Well, nah, I was just looking at her shoes. I like her shoes. They look nice. You know what I'm saying? She had a nice skirt on. Like it's not that serious. Oh, really? So you like her skirt? You don't like my skirt? My skirt not good enough? It's not perfect for you? Am I not fulfilling your unrealistic expectations that my parents put on me as a child? Like see how it all clicks. It all clicks. Trouble trusting in your partner's intentions. Ooh, that's a deep one. So the trust issues. Feeling insecure about your relationship. So now, I said in the beginning of this recording that everyone has insecurities, but other people have. But what separates insecurities from abandonment issues is that people with abandonment issues do not handle those insecurities well. And this is what I was getting at when I was speaking to my friend about how sometimes the change in a relationship can trigger an abandonment issues, because now they feel like the relationship is on the brink and on the rocks now because we eat dinner at 7 p.m. as opposed to 8 p.m. or we eat dinner at 7 p.m. as opposed to 6 p.m. Oh, so now I don't know what we doing. What are we doing? Where is this headed? Where we going with this? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we changing? You know what I mean? That insecurity, that fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Having difficulty in feeling intimate emotionally. Yeah. Because when you have those manipulative, perfectionist parents, they do a lot of finger wagging as opposed to hugging and complimenting and commending, and so it's hard to be intimate. It's hard to learn how to be intimate or be intimate with the person who has these issues, because they're too busy trying to prove themselves rather than just being themselves, because they've never known what it's like to feel adequate, to just hear good job. A lot of times when my kids were small, or not small but just younger, and like let's say they were doing something, like my son would be sweeping the floor, right? And I would say good job. He thought he was done. I'm like, I didn't say you were done. I just said good job. I didn't say you were done. Keep sweeping, finish sweeping the floor. Like, here's the dustpan, get it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, little shit like that, But yeah. It's hard to be intimate with someone who's always trying to prove themselves. Like I used to be a fan of the fashion industry. And one thing I learned about the fashion industry is that everybody's trying to get on, and everybody's fake. You know what I mean? And it's natural because it's fashion. It's an industry built on image. So everybody's gonna be fake. But still, like, it was hard to come across real people. And I felt like me being the person I am, as much of a fan as I was on fashion, I was too real for the fashion industry. And so I had to distance myself from it and let it go. Because I couldn't find too many people to be real with, who could meet me on that level. Needing to control or be controlled by your partner, that's a sign of abandonment. Yes. Because if I'm triggered and I'm afraid and I'm insecure about my relationship, I want to do any means necessary to stop that. So I'm going to try to control you. Where you at? Where you going? Who you with? Why? So what you saying is what you're saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? That those trust issues, this all kind of snowballs. This all snowballs and trickles down. Settling in unsatisfactory relationships. Yes. So a lot in my book Ratchetology, I talk about how ratchets don't like drama. Drama is simply all they know. And a lot of the thing is, so when you see someone in an unhealthy or unsatisfactory or unhappy relationship and they settle for it, because that's the same kind of relationship that they had with their parents. They had miserable childhoods. They had childhoods where they were constantly trying to prove themselves to gain their parents' affection and love. You know what I mean? And so now they grow up into fine, productive citizens in the world. You know what I'm saying? But constantly trying to prove themselves and prove their love to their spouse or their mate. You know what I'm saying? And are very unhappy because it's all they know. It's all they know. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I think this really needs to be aired out. I came across another article talking about the styles of abandonment. These are packages of abandonment issues. There's levels to it now. Like, whoa. Here's one: avoidant attachment style. They're all labeled by attachment style. Avoidant attachment, which sounds oxymoronic, but let's go in. People who follow this style don't allow anyone to get close to them. You may feel like you can't open up or trust others, making you appear distant, private, or withdrawn. I feel like I may be this way sometimes. I'm kind of scared to let people, like, I may come off as a pretty sociable guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people I'm shy and then they already know off top I'm lying, right? but sometimes I don't let people get too close, because I don't like to let people get too close to hurt me. You know what I mean? Like, if I open up about something, it's because I know you can't hurt me with it. You get me? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's an abandonment style, I guess. I don't know, but like, yeah. Anxious attachment style. People with this type of attachment style cope by developing intensely close and dependent relationships with others. Intensely close in relationships with, yes. Clingy, basically clingy. You may feel anxious about separating yourself from your partner and tend to be emotionally reactive. Yeah, so any kind of talk about a breakup creates a scene. You know what I mean? They're just over the top with it. Anytime, you know what I'm saying? When you, like, you ever date somebody where you tell them, like, hey, I'm about to go over here and there with such and such and about to do this and that. And then they start looking for reasons, they start fishing for reasons to be upset that you're leaving. You know what I mean? Like, so you go, wait, you didn't say you was going over there yesterday. Why you just now springing this information up on me? So who you going with? Oh, really? You going by yourself? Really? Is that, so you really going that to that place that you said you was going? All right. Okay, I hear you. I'm gonna call you. Make sure you. Matter of fact, you call me and I'll call you, and you make sure that you over there where you said you was going. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, chill. I'm just going over there. Like, come on. Yeah, it may be easy to see conflicts as a concern that your partner may leave, which makes you act out of fear. Yes. So this is anxious attachment style. Disorganized attachment style. This sounds deep. Disorganized attachment, I don't want that. Like, please, no. People with this attachment style have difficulty remaining intimate and close, but can also be inconsistent. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, I hate these kind of people. I hate them. You may feel anxious about being in a relationship or want to avoid the closeness. Yeah, so like these people are fun. These are the ones who are funny acting. You know what I'm saying? Like, they show you they feeling you, but they'll never follow through. You know what I'm saying? They'll hit you. They hit you up with the "what you doing" text, but never follow through. Like, you know what I'm saying? I hate these folks. It may be this attachment style may come with other potential disorders. Yes, that makes sense. So yeah, a relationship does not always have to end in order to trigger abandonment. You know what I'm saying? As you've seen with all of these descriptions I just gave, the triggers, the development from childhood, the signs, you know, it doesn't always have to end in order to trigger an abandonment issue. Abandonment issues can be triggered from you know, just anything really, just about anything. Sometimes a change in I mentioned this already, a change in the routine can trigger the fear. A switch up can trigger an insecurity that may appear as if the relationship is about to end, even if it may not. I've been in situations where I've been totally cool. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we good. I love you. Like, you know, what's up? We rocking and rolling. We in this thing together. And the chick is just like with the shakes in the fetal position. So what do you mean? What do you mean we're together? What does that mean? I'm like, yo, I mean, I'm with you. I love you. Like, chill. You know, I know this. I must be picking some terrible women. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not. I've graduated very much so from my past. But yeah, I've been in these situations. Remember the difference and relationship between triggering and memory. Memory and triggering are two different things. A memory is the moment, it's the picture. A memory is the picture, whereas the triggering is the habit, it's the conditioning. So the memory is just the picture, it's the movie playing in your head, whereas the triggering is you acting out the movie, even though the movie isn't playing. You know what I'm saying? Is that a good analogy? You know what I mean? I think that's the best way I could break it down. Yeah, memory is conscious. Triggering is subconscious. So when the memory plays back in your head, you're aware of the memory. You're watching the movie play out. You know what I'm saying? In your head. Whereas the habit, you don't even realize you're doing it. You ever be upset and don't realize why you upset? You ever be upset and in an argument and then be like, yo, why you mad? So what's the point of this? What are we arguing about? And you're like, cause of things. That's why. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just hits you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the triggering is subconscious, whereas memory is conscious. You're seeing the picture play in your head, and you're like, no, this isn't what I want. This is what I want. But remember, you have to focus on what you want and not what you don't want. Because when you focus on what you want, that's all you'll get, and you'll get it quicker. So focus on what you want, so that will be all you'll get, and you'll get it quicker. I'm talking too much. The subconscious governs the majority of our life decisions. So if you look at your life where you are now, whether you're happy or unhappy, whatever your life is a culmination of your subconscious brain. Everything you're dealing with, everything you see in front of you, everything you're at is a result of what that subconscious triggering has been set up for. You know what I mean? A lot of people go through life like zombies, just being swayed and triggered by every little thing that happens. It's sort of like people who sit home and watch the news all day. They be wanting to, as soon as the news goes off, they want to go hide in the closet because they're just so triggered by all of the negativity that they see on their screen. You know what I mean? So if your subconscious brain governs so much of your life, wouldn't it behoove you to want to control your subconscious? You know what I mean? Conditioning or triggering is another word. Well, triggering is a result of conditioning. So if you've been conditioned to react to negativity, then every time negativity comes about, you'll be triggered. Did I confuse you? Is that a good way to explain it? Let me say it again. If you're conditioned to react to negativity, then anytime negativity arises, you'll be triggered. So it's important to condition yourself for positivity. Conditioning is another word for brainwashing. You know what I'm saying? So always ask yourself, why do you like what you like? Why do you like what you like? A lot of people are very familiar with what they hate and what they don't like. But how familiar are they with what they like? Why do you like what you like? Because that's the flip side of the coin to your subconscious brain. You know what I mean? We like what we like, but why? You know what I mean? Why do you like that kind of woman? Why do you like that kind of man? Why do you like that type of music? Some people don't even know what they like. That's a whole nother conversation. Join Kev Prosper as he beats up the bad guys, slays the dragon, and saves the princess. Prosperity Gaming is the new channel of prosperityullc. Watch, follow, subscribe to Prosperity Gaming with Kev Prosper. Visit prosperunlimited.com and click travel to book your next vacation.
Hey, do that freaky jam on the beat. Busy with that butter shit, that bone feed. Did you double did that song thing. Flicky with some butter, sit that bone too. If you cheeky cheddar check, I get her own cheese. And say chicken with that head, or this up that won't be with the official with that whole sleeve. Bloody feet, had to wish that with that long.
I got racks to the ATM jam. Tell me what you wanna do. I got racks to the ATM jam. Tell me what you wanna do. You a badass bitch. It's gonna get swallowed in that fat ass bitch. I got racks to the ATM jam. Tell me what you wanna do. I got racks to the ATM jam. Tell me what you wanna do.
That concludes our show. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. And if you appreciate the show, go ahead and show it in Cash App at $prosperityullc. Join our new Patreon to receive free merchandise, books, and consultation from Prosperity ULLC. We would like to thank you for tuning in to Prosperity ULLC and continue to invest in the brand.